countries, getting ball tires. Fam across ponds, always inspired. Chapters connect, and then it's on fire. Checking phones as BV is like a live wire. They said that we couldn't do that. Every bro, every caption. Part of a villain, bro. Lights, camera, action.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of The Heart of a Villain, the podcast and live stream devoted to the bearded villains, worldwide brotherhood, and the lives they are changing all around this here world. Welcome to episode 229. It is October 20. It's October 4th. October 4th, the first episode of October 2024. Again, we're here for episode 229, and old BP is running at about 50%. You can probably hear it in my voice. But I don't know what's going on. Just in the last, I'd say easily 12 to 18 hours, something's hit me. But you know what I do? I just power through, right? Just power through. It doesn't do any good to just lay around and go, woe is me, I don't feel good. So even though I could probably much rather be just chilling upstairs and just chilling watching TV and enjoying an adult beverage and some cold medicine. I'm here with my boys, man. I'm here with my boys. So yeah, it's been a crazy couple of weeks here. Well, a couple of 3-4 weeks here recently. As many of you know, I just finished up last weekend the production run for a show at our local community theater called The Boys Next Door, and ran the sound for that. So we finished that up on Sunday, and then on Monday, half the family ended up. Well, not ended up. It was planned, but the wife and brother-in-law and mother-in-law and my oldest daughter and her husband all went. They left for Florida and for a nice little vacation. And old BP staying here with the other 3 kids technically, because one's in college, but doesn't need babysitting. Mason really doesn't. My oldest son doesn't really need much babysitting either. But yeah, so it's interesting times. So solo parenting this week. And between that and everything else I got going on, trying to sort out a few things with work schedule and everything else, and coming down on our 2.5 week point of interest with our event coming up October 19th. Yeah, we're just busy time. So I ain't got time. to do nothing, to just sit around and feel sick. But what I didn't also have time for this week was to really nail down a purpose for this show. So as many of you guys know, sometimes I just kind of wing it. And this episode's kind of perfect for this to be a wing it episode, just because I have no idea how long my voice is going to hold out. I have no idea how I'm going to feel 20 minutes from now. We're just gonna play it by ear and see how things go. But I've got a few merch items that I want to give a shout out to. Make sure we promote those things, and we'll move on and just see where it goes. I already put a message out to the boys that are here live with us tonight in the chat that I'm going to need their support, and I'm going to need them to keep a lively conversation going on to help spur this episode along. So sometimes I need it, boys, and you know it. So look forward to that. Look forward to the conversation that. Who knows where it's going to take us tonight, but I owe it to you guys to help guide us there, wherever that's going to go. And yes, I understand that may be a dangerous proposition for sure. But I also want to apologize to everybody that is listening, that normally listens to a standard podcast platform, because I realized yesterday that because I was in a hurry with the episode last week, I never got a chance after Friday night to upload the episode to a standard podcast platform. So I'm going to do that tonight. So tonight I'll actually be uploading 2 different episodes, last week's and this week's, for standard podcast platforms. So anybody that did miss that last week, I apologize. Nothing pressing in it. It was actually a review. If you remember, it was a review episode talking about an event from the previous weekend. So it's all good. We didn't miss anything because of it, for sure. If you're listening to standard podcast platforms, and everything that was discussed in there had already been out and about in the world of IG anyway. So, yeah. So, let's see here. So far, this episode's going to be brought to us by the fine people up in Michigan that bring us Dragon's Milk. Such a fine beer. Of course, I've got it in a Taxman Brewing glass, but so I apologize. I do not have a fancy glass that is from the New Holland people, but of course, we're talking about Dragon's Milk. Great drink. Anyway, I want to give a shout out to the boys that are here with us live tonight, and say hey, thank you so much for being here tonight. Dapper Dan's hanging out with us tonight. Good evening, everybody. Dapper, I'm still gonna press you. I know it's not fair for me to do it, and I know it's a long drive and expensive, but I'm still gonna be pressing you up until the day of the event to try and get you up here for this thing, for our event. Anthony's hanging out with us as well. Hope you got home safely. I think I remember reading somewhere that you were traveling today. Mr. Schuster, how you doing, sir? Good evening to you, sir. Good evening. Buddy's also hanging out with us. Buddy, hope everybody's safe down there in your neck of the woods, and hope that everything is getting better in your area. I don't know how much of the Chattanooga area was greatly affected from the flooding, but we are thinking of everybody down there that was affected by that. I'm going to mention a little bit about that a little later too. Gary's hanging out with us as well. What's up, Gary? I said I was at 20. I was at 50%. Ed, of course, Ed, from my chapter. Ed has to trump me. He has to overjump me there, and he's only at 25%. So, okay, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that for whatever reason. Rabba is hanging out with us as well. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, good sir. Good to see you here. All right, well, man. It's a night, man. It's a night. Rob, of course, has been here several times to the house. He says, I think we know who is running that house, and it ain't BP. Hey, you know what? This week it is. This week it is BP. So there. This week it is BP. So, all right. Dapper says he ain't left the chat yet. That's right. You don't need to. We don't kick people out. Excuse me, we don't kick people out for that. We just hope all the way up until the time of the event that you can make it. For sure. Cheers, everybody. I think part of my idea here is if I drink a high alcohol content beer enough, maybe it'll help with with all the stuff I've got going on in here. We'll see. There's probably some medical reason why it's actually detrimental to me, and it'll make it feel worse or make it more congested or something. I don't know. No idea. But hey, let's do this because the guys are not doing much to help me out here in the chat right now. Let's do this. I do have a few merch items that I can share with y'all, and we'll get into those real quick here. So what do we have in the merch game right now? Well, first off, I'll start off with my chapter here in Northern Indiana. We have still the return of, well, it's not the return. We got the return of Ezra Crow coming up. But every year, as you know, we do a concert tour design shirt that pays homage to a classic album of some sort in the rock or metal genre. And you can probably tell which one we're paying homage to this year. And this is the Ezra Crow World Tour t-shirt that we put out every single year. And this year we've actually added not just a t-shirt, we have 2 different varieties of the t-shirt. Plus we also have a sleeveless shirt. And in addition to that, we've actually created a hoodie as well. Now on the back side of this shirt, we have a bunch of cities where members of our chapter and or Ezra has represented us well around the world at different events throughout the year. That's how we do that. So we don't actually list the actual event itself. We just like a concert T-shirt does. We just mention the city that we went to or we helped out at. So that is the Ezra Crow World Tour T-shirts. Also, give a shout out to Bearded Villains South Mississippi, because they put out some really cool patches, and rarely do you see patches that just like they look like I I was trying to explain this and describe it last week, and I couldn't. I couldn't come up with the right words. As I sit here and look at it now, these patches, these two Christmas patches that they have, it reminds me of if these things were carved out of wood and then painted. That's the detail that we have here in these patches. It looks like they were carved out of wood and then painted. They're just so solid. You don't see stitching in these patches, which is crazy. So, congrats, man. Beardville in South Mississippi, man. Those are some awesome patches. Got to get out there and support their Christmas endeavors for South Mississippi. So go out and grab one of them or both of them. It's a set, I think. Well, you can probably grab one, but grab them both if you're going to grab one, right? I don't know if this is still for sale. I think it went off sale last week. But just in case, if you like it, hit up the Nova boys, BV Nova. They had a Nova Halloween shirt. It's a long sleeve T-shirt. It was $30. I think last weekend was the last weekend for it, but I still had it on my books here. So there's that as well. And then I also have from Bearded Villains Central England, they have a few. I saw this post earlier today. I came across it. They still apparently have a few of these left. Not many, like probably a handful of these things left. These remembrance pins. Really cool detail on these things. Bright, bold colors. Only £9 for one of these guys. Very, very cool pin, with great detail. So get out there and grab one of these things before they're gone. This is one of those cool pins that you're like, you see it in person and you think, huh, man, I wish I would have seen that. And, well, now you're seeing it. So get out there and grab one for sure. Get out there and grab one. And then the last thing I want to give a shout out to is two of our chapters are coming together to raise money for those that have been affected by all of the massive, massive flooding in the middle part of our country. And I don't even know how to describe the area that's affected because it's so massive. I know that the Smoky Mountain Boys put out a post earlier this week that they were making collections and donations for that. And so they have partnered up with the Saints up north. And this is a Brothers Lending a Hand T-Patch combo. And the T-Patch combo is $40, and all the money is going to help out the flood victims down there. So only $40, and you get a patch and a T-shirt. Looks like the shirts go up to 5X, so that's pretty cool. The website that you got to go to it doesn't have the Saints name in it. So if you've never ordered anything from the Saints up there, just know that it's Loyal Citizen Clothing. Loyal Citizen Clothing is where you want to go to get that that patch and shirt combo. And I'm going to try and see if I can find a message here about this. So yeah, you're going to go out to, I'll try to describe it as best I can because the actual T-shirt, the actual website is very long for the specific item because they sell other items on this website as well. But it's Loyal Citizen Clothing, loyalcitizenclothing.com. And then you have to search, I think, for the Saints gear. You find that and you look for the Saints collection, and then you find the specific tee there in that listing. So help out the flood victims, man. Help out the flood victims. Get a cool patch. Get a cool shirt. This is, to me, one of the coolest things that we do. And that's all the merch I've got right now. Rob, I can share yours again. I don't want to right now unless you confirm with me that that's still out and about. I'll come back and pop that back on if it's still available for anybody. But I don't want to hold you to that one right now. But if one of the coolest things that we can do for each other is we all buy shirts, right? We all buy patches, and even though those patches might just sit in a box somewhere, and even though we all know that we have way too many BV related T-shirts, we have way too many of those, but it's one of the coolest ways that we can support another chapter's endeavors to raise money for some other cause that's near and dear to their heart. And just like something that your chapter would like to do, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, guys. Even if it's not a shirt that you think you'll wear a lot, one of the things that I've heard other brothers doing, and not too many, but I've suggested it to others as well when I first heard about this, is if you're like me, and you think, oh man, I have way too many of these shirts already. I can't wear them all. They're just sitting there, whatever. Fine. You know what you could do? This is a really cool thing because a lot of the patches that we end up collecting over the course of all the time that we've been in BV, right? Other than the gift patches stay, right? Well, I don't get rid of those. But other than all the patches that I have purchased over the years, every once in a while you come across a patch that's sought after, it's highly desired. And how cool would it be to be able to put a t-shirt or a patch into some other chapter's auction, right? Sorry, I had to sneeze there. Might have another one coming in just a second. But how cool would it be to make a purchase and you can do like a double whammy here? We can do a double whammy on helping out with charity. So here's the thing. You buy a shirt. In this case, you buy a shirt patch, $40. All right. So you take that $40 and you buy the shirt and patch. But you don't have to necessarily buy one in your size. Okay. If you're a 3X and you already have way too many shirts anyway, maybe buy an XL. Hold on to it. Hold on to the patch. And then the next time that somebody in your area or a chapter event is coming up that you're attending, say, hey, I want to make a donation for your raffle. I want to make a donation for your auction. And you can then donate that shirt and that patch to their live auction. Now you have, for $40, think about this for a second, folks. For $40, the initial $40 that you paid out, you helped out that first charity, and now you've just helped out the other one, rather than having that t-shirt and that patch just sit in your closet or in your drawer and you're never going to wear it. So you have the ability to do two sets of good deeds for two chapters. How cool would that be? I know I've done that in the past. I'm not saying I'm not here to praise myself and I wasn't the first one to come up with that idea either. I heard that another brother had done it and I thought, you know what? I can spare this time. I can't do it all the time, but I can spare the 20 or $30 for that t-shirt this time. And I'm going to buy it in somebody else's size and I'm going to put it in the raffle in one of the sizes that's the most commonly used size by most people. Very cool. Very, very cool. And how selfless is that? How selfless is that to help out? And all you're getting away from that, all you're getting out of that is the good feeling of knowing that you helped out two different charitable causes. I can tell this is going to be a rough night already with the voice. I talk, you know how it is, guys. I talk too much anyway, and then you load it onto the throat the way it's feeling tonight, and I try to talk, and it starts to get all grovelly and then itchy, and yeah, then I have to cough or sneeze or something else. So, really cool idea. I'd love to see more people do stuff like that. And the thing is, the really cool thing about this is, the cool thing about it is you don't even need to, nobody needs to know that you're doing it. It's not something that you're like, you don't need to buy the t-shirt and a patch from one place and say, it's not going to be for me. I'm going to donate it somewhere else. You don't need to do that. That's not what we're about, right? We don't need to raise our hand up in the air and say, woohoo, look what we did. Look what I did. And I get that. We're not about that. And you don't even need to make a big issue of it when you donate it to somebody else. All you need to do is just reach out and say, hey, I got a patch, I got a shirt, I got something that I think could do a little bit of good, even if, excuse me, coughing again, even if it only raises an extra $10 or $15. You figure if a couple of people did that, we're easily, all of a sudden, we're getting up to $100 in a donation. Very cool. Very cool. So, as I said, get out there to that website, loyalcitizenclothing.com. Help out the flood victims. Get out there, and like I said, if it's not a shirt that you can wear, if you have too many already, then do the cool thing and pay it forward, right? And buy the shirt, buy the patch, and then hold on to it so that you can donate it somewhere else. But then you're helping out two different charitable endeavors. That could be a really cool way to do things. So, all right. So let's see. I also have, I'm going to bring this comment in from Rob here. He says, Rob says, after a special request, The It's Okay Not to Be Okay shirt and pin will be kept live until the end of the weekend. This weekend, boys and girls. This weekend. Okay, so you know what that means, Rob, right? You know, uh-oh. You know what that means? That means I have to go back up here and I have to bring this up. And I have to bring the picture back up. If it'll come back up, where'd it go? Where did it go? I guess the picture doesn't want to come back up. But you know what? I can pivot that pretty easily here. Let's see. Because I know where it's at on my computer. And so here's what we're going to do. Boom. There it is. All right. The It's Okay Not to Be Okay shirt. Very cool, bright, bold colors. Boys over in London are really doing a cool thing with this and helping raise mental health awareness. So it is available. They've pushed it. Upon request, they have pushed it out and made it go for an extra week or weekend. So don't miss out on this cool shirt. It's okay not to be okay. 20 pounds. It's like, I don't know, dollars, US dollars. It's like $26. So go out and grab one. Go out and grab one for sure. Awesome, awesome stuff. Thanks, Rob, for giving me the heads up on that we're doing that. All right. So we are back to square one again here. And my boys are not doing much help for me here in the comments section as far as keeping ideas going here. Keeping the conversation flowing. They're not doing a whole lot of good work here. And if that's the case, then because BP don't have much going on, all I'm doing is just coughing and hacking over here on the other side of this microphone. You know, it could be a 25-minute podcast tonight for sure. But for the time being, let's do this. Whether you're navigating the rugged terrain of the great outdoors or conquering the concrete jungle of the urban landscape, Bigfoot Beard Company has you covered. Bigfoot products are made with natural ingredients designed to help maintain a healthy, rich beard without leaving it feeling greasy and heavy. From classic cologne-inspired fragrances to fruity notes and earthy tones, there's sure to be a scent for every occasion. With worldwide shipping available, why not take an opportunity to walk on the wild side? Head over to Bigfoot Beard Company today. That's www.bigfootbeardco.com. Again, that's www.bigfootbeardco.com. All right. Thank you, Bigfoot. Thank you, Bigfoot. Bigfoot, good quality products, man. Awesome, awesome products. All right. Well, one of the things that I did say that I did want to bring back up earlier was this idea. I mean, the lack of knowledge, I'll call it that. The lack of my knowledge, and maybe I'm just stupid. I'll own it. I will completely own it. When I see certain areas of the country that I know, at least that I've traveled through, look a certain way. In this case, I'm talking about most of Tennessee. And I know one of the things that, of course, we've talked about a little bit is the flood victims in the South. And that, especially in the areas where the mountains are, it confuses me. It confuses me because I sit there and I think, I know how many times I've driven down through there, and I've driven down through Kentucky, Tennessee. I've driven down into the Carolinas, and there's a lot of mountains down there. And when I look at that stuff, it amazes me that so much devastation occurs from flooding. Because when you're driving through those areas, and like I said, I'm completely owning my own ignorance in this. When you're driving through these areas, you see so many hills. You drive over so many tall hills and mountains, right? And I know that where there's a mountain and where there's a hill, I know that there's a valley. I know how that works. But to see so many areas that seem like they're elevated becoming flood ravaged. I don't it boggles my mind to understand how this happens. And I don't understand, so I'm the entire week I've been trying to read and I've tried to find reports, and I've looked at the Weather Channel. I finally found an article through the Weather Channel that kind of explained it to me. But I don't know if people that live down there can try to explain it to me as well. And if you're on the thing tonight, you can explain it to me. Great. If you're not, send me a message, because it just completely makes me shake my head. I don't understand how badly things can flood when it's such highly elevated land in many cases. Now, like I said, I know that just because there's elevated land, there's also low level land as well in the valleys of these areas. And I know that those were hit very badly. And from what I've understood, and this is just from the reading that I did do, was that because preceding the hurricane, as it came across the land, preceding that, before, when it was still out in the Gulf, there were a couple of days of very heavy rains in the area. Before the hurricane even got there. So everything was already super saturated anyway. And apparently there's something about when you have rain saturating high-level areas, excuse me, when you have rain saturating high-level areas, then that water has to come down at some point. And so it comes down, but it's completely saturated the entire time. And then you throw all the hurricane rain on top of that. It continues to be saturated at even a higher level, and it has no place else to go except for obviously down. And then it just coagulates in certain areas, and then you end up with floods. That's the only thing that I've been able to read or see that kind of makes a little bit of sense to it. In any event, it's terrible. It's horrible. It's horrible to see. I mean, if you think people that, when you live in certain areas, sometimes you make that tongue-in-cheek reference, right? You know that, hey, if I'm going to live in northern Indiana, I'm never going to have to worry about hurricanes. I might have to worry about tornadoes. I might have to worry about, bad storms, or in certain areas you might have to say, certain areas of the country, earthquakes, or, a variety of different things. And I'm sure that a lot of people that when they first moved into the state of Tennessee, one of the last things a lot of times they may think of is flooding, unless they actually live in a valley somewhere. But what an amazing and sad lesson we've learned, at least for me this week. And I'm sure there are people out there that already knew this, but you're just not. No amount of preparation can prepare you for something like what's just happened this past week. You saw people try to prepare the best they could, but the amount of devastation I would have never imagined. I would have never imagined in the areas specifically where it was. What's crazy to see is that because of the flash flooding, there were areas inland several hundred miles, 2-3 states inland, that were more badly flooded and damaged than the areas that were on the coast. Which, when you think about a hurricane, you'd never think that way. You think, okay, hurricane's coming, let's just go inland, right? But to go inland and only to have the flooding much worse. Excuse me, yeah. The idiot brain of mine just doesn't compute. And so I do want to say our thoughts and prayers are definitely with the families, everyone that's affected, because there have been a lot of loved ones lost from this. A lot more than, anytime you have a massive hurricane come through and you know that there's going to be a huge amount of flooding, you can almost always, figure on there's going to be some loss of life. But the amount that there has been so far and the number of people that are still missing, I think that's taken us all by surprise. So, again, no amount of preparation in some cases. And I hope that if nothing else comes of this, that it's a lesson for us all to recognize the importance of preparing for the possibilities of flash flooding, even when you don't think that you could be affected. And it's a terrible lesson to learn when it extracts the toll that it has. But it's such an important lesson for us to see, and it's unfortunate that it's taken what it has from us for us to recognize that, for sure. I've got a few comments in here that I want to make sure that I can share with everybody. We were talking about Bigfoot there after the commercial, and Rob jumps in and says, breaking Bigfoot news. We are now shipping oils in 50 ml with pump action toppers and have launched a new logo. All right. So Bigfoot stepping up their game. Bigfoot's stepping up their game. So get out there to the website and www.bigfootbeard.co. What is it? Let's see again. Let's play this again. You're getting double the. Whether you're navigating the rugged terrain of the great outdoors or conquering the concrete jungle of the urban landscape, Bigfoot Beard Company has you covered. Bigfoot products are made with natural ingredients designed to help maintain a healthy, rich beard without leaving it feeling greasy and heavy. Now in 50 ml bottles. Cologne-inspired fragrances to fruity notes and earthy tones, there's sure to be a scent for every occasion. With pump action worldwide shipping available, why not take an opportunity to walk on the wild side? And a new logo. Head over to Bigfoot Beard Company today. That's www.bigfootbeardco.com. Again, that's www.bigfootbeardco.com. That's www.bigfootbeardco.com is where you can go to get that. All right, good. I appreciate that. Thanks, Rob, for giving a heads up there. David, DC lets us know when we're talking about that collab. He says our collab idea started because Jason and I decided we wanted to do brotherly things together. So we decided to do a collab for Honor Flight, going to happen at some point. Very cool. Can't wait to see that one come up, for sure. Dapper says, I'd like to give a shout out to Tarvin, who has been passing along tons of information about the closures and recovery of Appalachia. Very cool. He's been doing an amazing job keeping us up to date with the news. Yes, he has. I've seen a few of his posts that have come out anyway, and I know that he's probably got like an internal network of people that he's out and about sharing stuff to as well. So that's very, very cool. So he said, so when all this happened, meaning so we're going back to DC's previous comment about the Honor Flight. He says, so when all this happened, we switched gears. Yeah. But you know, the cool thing is you can still do this idea with the Honor Flight thing too, as well. So very, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, Dave said water is the most devastating force. And you know what's crazy is that we just don't give it the credit that it's due. We don't. We just don't. We think, you know, I mean, I've had people tell me I don't understand why it's so bad. Just why can't people just get in a boat? Just get in a rowboat and just float on top of it. Have you seen the boats? Have you seen what happens to boats in a flood? It's not that easy. But I've heard people tell me that. Why can't they just put life preservers on and just float? It's not all that. Dapper says, in Florida, the inland is safe for the most part. We don't have to worry too much about the storm surge. Yeah. Yeah. As a matter of fact, that's where my family is. They're down in Florida. They're actually in Orlando right now. And the damage, if any, is extremely minimal there. But yeah, for sure. So yeah. All right. Well, I don't know what more we can talk about for that. But we're going to keep all those people in our thoughts and prayers. Absolutely. They need it. And there's a long, long road to recovery and rebuild for those people. And honestly, you know, we're coming up. I don't ever like to get political in here. I really don't. I don't like to get political. But I will say that the timing could not be worse right now for our own government to be shelling out money to other countries to fight their battles when we need to drastically improve what we're doing here in our own country. I'll just say that. Like I said, I don't like to get too political in here, but when we just had a flood, when we just had a hurricane and a flood like that, and that many people's lives completely uprooted, I think that's when you divert some funds and you say, nope. Sorry, we'd like to help your other countries out right now, but we have to kind of worry about what's home. We have to worry about home right now, and I hope you guys will understand that. We'd love to help you out, and I know we're a superpower, and we would love to do that again. But you know, it's we'd love to help you out when we can, but we have to help our own people. And when you put the full weight of the federal government behind something, if you throw a couple of $1 billion that are going overseas to some other effort, to some other country's war effort or whatever it is, if you take a couple of $1 billion and you throw it at this, and you activate the federal forces that are necessary to help these people out, I mean, think about how amazingly quick and the response could be. But unfortunately, it's I don't know. I don't understand. I can't even find an argument for against it. I can't find an argument against why you would do this. Especially even if, and I hate it when we do this every year, that we have an election year, right? The 6 months going up to an election, the people that are in office are working their tails off, it seems like, to do everything they can to look good in the voters' eyes, right? They even if they didn't do anything, and I'm not talking Democrat or Republican, this is both sides of the aisle, folks. This is both sides of the aisle. They do it every year that we have an election. 6 months out from an election, all of a sudden, everybody does what they should have been doing all along, right? And they focus on the people for that short 6 months. Now, if it's a 4-year election, for that first 3.5 years of it, they're all about proving the other side wrong, yelling at them and saying what they don't want to, why they hate them, and trying to change everything that they may have done for the previous 4 years or whatever it is. That's all that it's been about. But for that 6-month period, right, leading up to an election, they jump in with both feet a lot of times, and they're like, we should do this. Well, you should have done it 3 years ago, but okay, we'll give it to you now because we need it. We'll give you credit for it. Thank you. But you would think that right now, and I would say this about the Republicans if the Republicans were in the House right now. If the Republicans had the White House right now, I'd say the same thing to them. Whoever is in the White House going into an election cycle, right? This is when, if not ever otherwise, this is when you raise a flag and you say, let's spend some money here at home. Let's pause the money elsewhere. We've got something to fix here. And I hate to look at it from a political side of things, but it doesn't look good going into an election if you're funneling all this money over to another country and all of your people are flood victims and suffering from the humanity of the inhumane, nature that flood leaves behind. I don't know. Make it make sense to me, folks. Make it make sense. Now, I know you can't believe everything you see on the internet. God, that's true. You can't believe everything you see on the internet. And I've seen so many different reports that say that there was like $6 billion or $8 billion sent over to Ukraine and $750 credit to flood victims. I don't know how accurate that actually is because I haven't read anything with my own eyes other than that headline. That's a catchy headline that looks bad. So I can't say that that's factual or not. But if you're sending billions with a B, if you are sending anything that starts with a B, billions of dollars to another country right now, and you're not sending something that starts with a B locally in your own country, that's a problem. That is a problem, folks. So, I don't know. And it's not directed at any. I would say the same thing if the Republicans were in office right now in the White House. I don't get it. I don't. We like to pump our chests up and say that we're the greatest country in the world, but we can't even take care of the ones that need it when they need it. I don't know. Yeah, Dave says it's safe to say not even close to enough is being done for these victims. Yes. And it's not like they're victim by choice. It's not that they're victims necessarily because of some choice that they made in their life. Right? I mean, it was a flood. It was a hurricane resulting in a flood, massive flooding. It wasn't a choice that they made in their life that said, I know this is probably something that I shouldn't do, but I'm going to do it anyway. And now I need a bailout from the government. No, this was never a situation like that. If this is your family members, if this is your neighbor, if this was you, you would appreciate the help from your own government. I don't know. I just don't know. Well, no. Dave, I completely agree. He says we aren't the greatest government in the world. No, we aren't the greatest country in the world either. There's a lot to really love about it. I don't think you can really put a moniker of greatest country in the world on anything at all. I think you might have been able to do that back in the 1950s and 60s here in the States. You might have been able to say that. Not now. Not now. I know Hollywood is Hollywood, right? I know Hollywood writers write amazing stories that make us all want to go, wow, I wish that person would be in office or something like that. And their whole job is to write inspiring words on a page. And then the job of the actor is then to somehow convey the words from that page in a way that makes us want to stand up and cheer for them, right? But I will say this. One of the best examples about the topics that we're talking about today that was done, go out and watch the very first episode of the TV show The Newsroom. It was on HBO 2012, 2013, somewhere around there. Go out and watch the very first episode. As a matter of fact, you can go out and YouTube this specific speech. If you have not seen it, I'm going to try to put a link. I'm going to try to make a link for it. I'm going to try to make a link and put it in my stories tonight here, either my personal stories of the chapter or the Heart of a Villain story, because that Jeff Daniels speech that he makes lasts about 2 minutes, and it's some of the best writing and the best acting talking in a political avenue that's been out there for a long time. So, and very, very well said. The words were true, and it was very well said. So, all right. Well, guys, you know what? I would love to stick around. We've been at this just over 40 minutes, and I would really love to stick around for this. But to be honest, the guys in the comment section, they're trying, but they're not really we're just kind of rambling now. And my voice, as you could probably tell, is starting to give out a bit. So I need to, as much as I would love to just sit and talk all night, I need to rest the voice and go upstairs. And it's probably better that I don't drink much of this and I just switch to water. I'll finish this because I already poured it. But I'm going to go chill and hope that I can be back better than ever. Well, not better than ever, but better than this week, next week for episode 230. Most likely we'll be back on Friday nights again because, Friday nights, fun. Might be a little bit earlier. I'm going to check and see what works best for the wife and everybody else. But I think what I may end up doing is going back to Friday nights at like 6:30, I think. So we'll see. But for now, guys, I thank you guys so much for being here. And I know it's not always easy to find some time for it, but I greatly appreciate you and all the support you do give. So with that, that's going to wrap up episode 229 of The Heart of a Villain. I want to challenge you guys always that I say every week to be the villain that the world needs you to be, because the heart of a villain never stops beating. Boy, am I getting really stuffed up here at the end. And the last thing I want to say is, I ever say that every week, guys, remember, it's okay not to be okay. If you are hurting, please find a brother to talk to. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. So, guys, thanks again for everything. Have a great night. Enjoy this weekend. I'll see you back here next week for episode 230. Until then, take care. Stay safe. Like a live wire. They said that we couldn't do it and that another could. Never underestimate